Have you heard about the fact that they're using like prison labor to fight fires?
Unfortunately.
So they're using like prisoners to do firefighting.
Hold on. Why do we feel so bad about that?
Doesn't that kind of debunk a lot of the things that we say firefighters outside of prison have to do? Like, doesn't that kind of demonstrate that all of those rules and thoughts were kind of arbitrary? Like, it doesn't really matter. Does it really matter if a firefighter is a felon or not? Because we have prisoners doing it.
Oh my gosh.
Doesn't really matter if they have an EMT license because we have people who don't have EMT licenses doing it. It doesn't really matter if you went to school for this. It doesn't really matter if your dad used to be a firefighter.
What'd you say earlier? If you have a background check or not? That's what
if you have a background check or not. Like, I think we're like kind of demonstrating by doing this that like a lot of the rules around who gets to become a firefighter is to be exclusive, and like the rules are arbitrary.
And you actually don't care who does it because they're expendable.
And here's also if firefighting is really a skill, why are we letting people who are unskilled do it?
It's the end of the weekend, but I still wanna turn up. Yeah, I still wanna turn up. All I want is to go again, but you ain't picking your phone up. Why you messing my head up? Any night, any day, let me take you away. All I need is just saying yeah, 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 yeah. Better nights, better days, when you're here with me, babe. 'Cause you're all that I crave, so I wonder, where are you? Where are you? Don't hide away from me when I need you most. We got love guaranteed, and I have to know.
You're gonna sing the theme song?
Can I? Where are you?
You want to lean in for that, but not talking.
You're right.
Well, this
Everybody
is a big
listen to
moment.
this. Wait, what now?
So we're back after a month. It's our first time in 2025.
Wait, okay. This is a gun to your head. Can you see that? Oh, wait.
Yes.
There. Okay. There. Gun to your head. What are you most excited about for 2025?
Excited about?
Not even positive.
I'm going to get my license, so I'm going to get a pay raise.
Whoop, whoop. Pew, 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 pew. What are you, gun to your head, what are you most least excited about for 2025?
The obvious sides of climate change getting worse.
Oh, that's a good one.
What
That's
about
a good
you?
one. I'm really excited about continuing to just get more clients for my private business and hopefully just like expand that. That seems like the major goal for me.
So your financial advisor told you it better be.
It better. No, literally, he was like,
He sat you down and was like,
no, literally, he was like, you don't need to be doing shit else but making money right now. I was like, noted. He was like, you need to pare back. Noted.
do you want poor children or not?
Essentially, that was fine. He keeps reiterating what he was like, this money is for this. And I was like, yes, I understand. I will start taking it seriously. The thing I'm least excited for.
Turning 31. Just kidding.
Oh.
Not you already. No, you were supposed to be okay for the next 5 years.
I am. I actually think that I'm really excited for my 30s. I think the thing I'm least excited
That's a lie.
for. It depends on how my 30s go.
We'll check back in.
We'll check back in at 35. The thing I'm least excited for is moving.
Yeah. You're going to leave your building, right?
Yeah. I'm going to leave that exact
need to.
neighborhood. Yeah, I need to.
She's living. What would Gabe, if you had neighbors actively in your building and actually more people moving in that you knew you didn't want to see, is that worth moving, or do you think you could navigate not seeing neighbors in a an apartment? Like,
Really
with
answer. Not
with
in front of me.
Yeah,
like
no,
200
no. I
people.
think that's worth moving if it's people who you. I mean, I kind of have to hear a little. You know, like
Friends
I don't know if
with
you can
them
talk
for a
around it.
long time, no longer friends.
I would probably. Well, I'm good with conflict in those situations, so I don't mind seeing the people, I guess.
What are you gonna do if you hop on an elevator with an ex-best friend?
I already have a script.
I'm kind of okay with that. Now, an
Are you acknowledging
ex-girlfriend, like one thing I can't
I am.
relate to is like if you guys are like, okay, a woman can be under physical threat more easily
Yeah.
in that situation, so I can't really relate to that.
Well, that's
as
why
much.
I said friend.
Other women.
If you got into the elevator with your ex-best friend, are you speaking?
Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
going to say something smart.
Yeah, like I can't
it's
sit
weird
in
enough for
silence
you?
like that. It's not an option.
I actually been thinking about that all day. Now I actually want to because I'm going to be like, well, this is weird.
Yeah, well, it's uncomfortable, so I have to break that discomfort by saying something or making them uncomfortable.
Or I'll like start small talk. Like, did you just want to do small talk? Let's do that.
Do you want to do that?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, great.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What do you think?
Me?
Move.
Yeah.
I love my apartment.
Moving's expensive. It's hard. It's
Take
so
the
much more than you
expense out of
think.
it. Take the expense out of it.
What if you're already overpaying for the apartment you're in?
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, she should move.
She's already
It's
overpaying.
in a penthouse.
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
Shit's falling off.
You are in the penthouse.
I am in the penthouse.
The highest. That's
It's as high as it goes.
Yep, as high as it goes.
My kids are aware of it, for Christ's sake.
I mean, they drive by.
So
Oh yeah, they have to come up before I leave.
Every time we go to, I'm telling you, it'd be their dream
That's
if Rachel
so
would come
funny.
out and wave once.
Text me next time.
I will. I really will. So
I'll
be
take my
careful.
hair down and everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of highs and lows, a ceasefire agreement has been reached as of yesterday or the day before.
Weird question. Is that a high or a low?
I think that it should be a high, but I'm not. So right now it's January 16th, and we're still like 4 days from the official ceasefire between Israel and Gaza. And I'm not feeling very confident that we're going to hit Sunday and things are going to stop, because I feel like Israel's already ramped up. Israel has already ramped up. Like they're still behaving similarly. So it'll be interesting to see how Hamas handles that. And also the deal is like 3 phases. And like all the way to phase 3 involves like them helping rebuild infrastructure. Mm-hmm. And I just don't see that happening. So at some point, I feel like this is all going to break down. I could be wrong, but I'm not feeling very hopeful because of that. I just can't see BB, who sees like the Gaza Strip as like the biggest threat to like Israeli safety, like building that up and wanting the people there to prosper. Like it's not feeling realistic
At all.
And they're so close to wiping the map.
I know.
Exactly.
They're like right there.
They're so close to completing their plan. There's no way. And this was the exact deal that was on the table, I think, a year and a half ago. And Israel turned it down.
There's also historical precedent with whenever they have these ceasefires, both sides like move to get their ugliest like licks in to kind of provoke the whole thing. So it's just like, it's so I don't know.
And I was hearing people too, like from the Palestinian side saying that like, even if Hamas doesn't do anything, there's a lot of fear around them like doctoring things that Hamas did to like say that they broke the ceasefire if it actually goes into place, or to stop it, like prevent it from happening. I think that's also why if you look at like the hostage release plan, it's like through the phases, because I think people are afraid that like they're not releasing all of the hostages in phase 1. And I feel like that's out of fear of like, well, what happens when Israel gets what they want? And like, will they continue doing what they're doing without like because I feel like there's social pressure in Israel for.
You can hope.
Hostage release. No, not for,
for hostage release. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So like, that's
true.
The political push is like, you're claiming this is what you're doing all of this
But
for.
you need to get them back.
You need to get them back.
And you can get them back.
Yes. So I don't know.
I know it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see when Trump is officially in office, kind of what his official position is.
Have you seen that Trump and Biden are like, the media and their followers and like the American people are like fighting over who gets credit for this ceasefire?
I haven't seen, yes. And I know that like but what I've seen, I feel like is more, that poll that came out that was like the reason why Biden lost or why Kamala lost was because of Gaza. And I feel like Trump has started or will begin to use that more. I feel like it's going to switch.
So you're thinking more about how it's going to be used politically rather than. Yeah. I think for me, I'm just like witnessing and seeing like Trump trying to take credit for it. Biden being like, that was me. And I don't know. It's just such a reflection of, it's none of it. We don't even know like what's really going to come out of it or what's happening. Like this feels like tentative good news. It's like,
I know.
It's like your parents telling you like, yes, you can have a birthday party, but we don't know if the venue you want to book at has availability.
Right.
Like you said yes to it and we're like really pumped, but like we're not quite sure that this is going to happen yet.
Right. And I think it's almost like there's going to be like it's like a breath of relief that there might be, I'm saying this lightly, small s safety.
Yeah.
But I find it so hard to believe they're just going to open their, not just, it will take, I'm sure, quite a long time, but their borders or checkpoints or whatever it is.
Well, I don't even know if that's a part of the plan. Like I'm seeing like the plan being all about like the Gaza Strip, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'm saying like the plan being more about the Gaza Strip than it is about like full independence. Like they're not even releasing or committing to like whether stage 3 involves full independence. They're just saying like, this is stage 1. Stage 2, we're going to pull out a little bit militarily. Stage 3, the only thing we're committing to is like helping rebuild infrastructure. But for me, like nobody's saying whether or not they are going to actually allow them to be like a fully independent nation. I haven't heard Israel commit to that unless I'm missing something.
No. They have not committed to it. I think it's the tentative agreement that's been put forth. But
and don't they still have to vote in BB's cabinet? So it's not like legally agreed upon either.
What do you feel like? I haven't paid attention to Trump so much in this area, which I should. What have you seen be his position is strong maybe on this issue? But
I literally have no idea. All I've been seeing is rhetoric around him saying like, you better figure it out before I get into office or else.
I'd say he says the right things on this.
Okay, what does he say? Tell me.
Yes.
Just like what I've heard is it's that he advocates for a ceasefire. Like for Biden to race in and take any credit for this, like should make everyone sick.
I agree.
Like he absolutely did fuck all nothing while this shit was going on. And then to suddenly at the end when they wipe the fucking map with him, now you jump in and actually take credit.
The day before you leave.
I think it is the pressure from Trump, unfortunately. Like this is one thing that I hate to say that because I'm not a big Trump guy, obviously, but his foreign policy shit he's been pretty strong and he's been pretty staunchly like anti-war and like so he does saber rattling, he threatens, and he absolutely does that, but he says, he says the right things. Like
I feel like I was more able to digest that take when he wasn't saying what he's saying about Greenland and Canada and the Gulf of Mexico. Like, I feel like he's actually being really antagonistic, and I'm not saying he's actually going to fall through on it.
Yeah, he's trolling.
But yes, he's trolling. He's not going to act on it necessarily. But I also think he is in like a lot of ways riling up and trying to make a statement and like reinsert America into like the political discourse of like we could do what we want when we want. And I don't think that's true anymore. I think like that's also part of like living in delusion, but that could just be me.
This came from NBC. This is like 40 minutes ago. So this is like the most updated on the ceasefire.
Okay, for people who are listening, not reading, it says, what we know, Israel's cabinet will meet tomorrow to vote on the ceasefire and hostage release deal with Hamas after it claimed a delay was due to Hamas creating a last-minute crisis, in quotes.
Lie.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office did not elaborate on what the issue was. Hamas is throwing a fit because we've upped our murdering.
Right.
God forbid.
Right.
Hamas said it was committed to the ceasefire agreement, which was announced by the mediator. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said at news briefing today that he remains confident the deal will be implemented as planned. The highly anticipated deal, which would start Sunday within a 6-week truce, could end 15 minutes of fighting in the Gaza Strip. Or 15 months.
15 months, yeah.
Sorry. Also, very interesting to add to like the thought process that this is about fear of Trump, that literally he's inaugurated on Monday. So the thought that this would have to take place the day before he comes into office is interesting.
It's also interesting how the language is just so subtly anti-one way and pro-one way.
This also pisses me off.
Subtle.
So the next thing goes, the first phase of the hard-won agreement would free 33 hostages held in Gaza, starting with 2 Americans. Right. It would also free Palestinians held in Israeli jails.
Not hostages, though.
Also doesn't say how many.
Right.
Like there is an like inordinate amount of Palestinians who have been like removed from Gaza over these last 15 months with just like complete free will. And like we've been seeing a lot of videos that people are saying are doctored, but I don't believe are. Well, people being tortured indiscriminately while they're in these prisons and seeing them. And I don't know whether or not they are part of Hamas or not, but I didn't feel like they were going based on if you were a part of Hamas. I feel like they were going based on whether you were in age to be a viable candidate to be recruited by Hamas. I don't
look a certain way. Or
yeah, like it felt it like 15 to and over. And then like 15 to 45. Like it seems like it was a lot of that age group of males. And I'm not saying that none of those people were a part of what was happening, but it seemed like this is Israel's problem with a lot of this is like, and this is why people feel like Israelis and the Western media believe that Israel and the Western media doesn't think Palestinian lives are valuable, because there's this like coexisting risk that comes with being human living in conflict that Israel is like not willing to take. Like they're like, we're just going to like anybody who we see as a risk, we're going to imprison them.
Yep.
And so I don't know. I'm not saying that they weren't right, but they weren't right all the time. And so it'll be interesting to see who they release and what that looks like.
You're sitting there dealing with people who are living right next to each other, who have just taken turns slaughtering each other's families in the most grotesque way. Like what a fucking impossible situation. Like what a truly just horrific situation.
It's one of the worst things.
And I really believe that in a lot of people's hearts, the only way this will ever be resolved is that if both of them aren't there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, truly, I think a lot of people feel like the only way this will ever change is if both
each other.
Yes, like both don't exist. Like, and who's going to go? And then it becomes like, well, obviously the Middle Eastern culture.
The rich people are going to win, right?
Well, the rich people are going to win, but also like the Arab Muslims shouldn't win because they're morally inferior.
Right.
Like there's also that piece that the West like deals in. And whether or not like that's your belief around how women are treated or how women are seen or what Islam means or looks like and how that's implemented in those countries, like I just think that's the overall attitude.
Yep.
So it'll just be interesting to see how this plays out going forward.
Ooh, bitch, you just smoke on it.
Have you guys heard that for the Iraq, like it seems to be
Iran, yeah.
No, for the when we went into Iraq for the first time, not for WMDs, the first time when they went into Jordan.
His daddy?
Like how that worked. I was watching all these interviews with this guy, John Kiriakou, who I love. He's a ex-CIA. He was head of the Mideast, and then he was the guy who stood up against the torture programs, and then the United States like ruined him. And but whatever, he's a great dissident now. And he's been talking about...
We also, like, Israel literally learns about how to torture people from us. So, of course...
No. We learn from them.
Yeah, we learn from them. No, they're...
They are the experts, and their Mossad is actually probably superior to ours.
They're the experts in... They are superior. They're the experts in intelligence. We taught them everything they know about the military. But they're the best spies in the world. Hands down, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Keep going.
So when that happened, Saddam talked to our lead... our diplomat there and said, like, he asked what happens because Jordan did impede on his oil field and basically like taking their oil. So he went to our diplomat and said, Jordan's taking my shit. I want to go take it back and whatever. And the United States diplomat said, the United States does not care what happens between Arab countries or whatever. Like basically gave him the pass to do what he did. Right. And then we made the threat, you have to be out within however many hours. He sent a cable, like Saddam said, okay, I'm getting out or whatever. Like, I'm going to get out. And they said, too late. And it was before the deadline still.
Yeah.
Like we absolutely played his ass to make that happen.
For fucking sure.
Yeah.
And Gaddafi is something like that.
Gaddafi's probably the same, but yeah.
So, yeah.
We're starting off the year with a really happy false hope. Lots of wars in the world.
All the videos of the Palestinian kids celebrating were sweet, though.
And it's killing me because they're so... I feel like all, like, you know, whether it's tweets or whatever the fuck you have about people posting, Palestinians who are posting, it's just bittersweet, right? Yeah. They're happy that there's, you know, going to be a ceasefire, that there's going to be a pause, but there's not this great feeling like they're going to prosper.
Well, if they would let the aid trucks in, then that would be like immediate relief. So we'll see if they do that too. Because they were talking about negotiating up to like 600 trucks a day of aid coming in because there's just straight famine.
I keep getting chills.
And I don't feel like there's any like medical equipment that is still left.
Viable. Any
like they need a lot. Yeah. A lot. I imagine like what I think of things too is like imagine if maybe you and your family are like in a location that you feel is relatively safe. I don't even know where that would be. And like you guys have been able to eat. Like what if you're like type 1 diabetic? That's it.
Yeah.
Like there's just so many things like that are just not great. So we'll see how that plays out.
What do you and maybe this goes into the next kind of the LA fires and stuff, but I've been seeing comparisons that people make between, the connections between Gaza, what's going on, aid there, and also what actually the fires that are going on in Pasadena and Altadena and things like that in LA. I don't know actually how I feel about the connections. I feel like there's like gravity to it and there's connection there and people are making it for a reason, but then I see the alternate view.
What is the connection?
The connection is that between brown and black people, that they are suffering under systems that don't care about them, that all these things.
Why do I want to roll my eyes?
I know, and that's kind of how I felt. But I kind of felt that way. But I also was like, I'm noticing who is saying that they have a problem with that. And I'm like, what is that?
So, like, it's people basically highlighting the fact that, like, systemically or, like, globally, when bad things happen, they often happen to black and brown people.
Mm-hmm.
I can hear that.
Yes.
I also have, like, a huge issue with the way, like, Americans want to victimize themselves. Like, I'm not saying that what's going on in LA isn't terrible. I just feel like being in America isn't comparable to being in the Gaza Strip. Like, I don't even feel like they should be in conversation together. Mm-hmm. I was saying this when we were having food. We went out and grabbed food before this, but I was saying, Americans act like only children.
Yeah.
Like there's just this level of like entitlement, unwillingness to share, self-absorbed. Like you never grew up having to consider other people.
Ooh.
And I just feel like that all the time. So like obviously the normal candidates who are like, no matter what, want to support black and brown people are for it. Yeah. And the normal candidates who are like, everything about race is made up and you're trying to put race into things that don't matter have that response.
Yeah.
What's really the hardest thing for me about the LA fires is like, one, obviously all of the loss is very sad, like people losing their things.
For sure.
People losing their lives, people losing their pets. I keep thinking about the pets. Like if you
horses, bitch, the last horses are killing me.
Like if you were at, work or whatever when they like closed off your area and your dog was at home or your cat was at home.
Stop.
Like
please stop.
Sickening.
Please stop.
Rachel told me a really sad story about somebody whose son had a disability that she couldn't get out of the house. And he was like, Mom, leave me. And the mom left him, which I'm still judging her to this day.
And there's another one. But there's another one where the dad didn't then. Do you hear about the black dad who wouldn't leave his son with cerebral palsy and he stayed with him in bed and they
they died together?
Yes. They found them holding hands. Horrible. His son was in the wheelchair and like couldn't leave, and his son was like, and his dad was like, "No, I'll stay."
He should have stayed though.
He should have. That was the right thing to do.
Right. No,
you don't leave a kid to die alone.
I'm like,
it's fucked up.
Like I'm like.
So wait, she told me about a mom who. Yeah. You do have goosebumps.
I know.
I have goosebumps back here too. It's horrible. That's sickening.
But it was an adult kid.
Yeah.
And the adult kid was like, "Mom, leave me," but I wouldn't have left.
Don't care.
I can't leave.
You'd never do that to Doc.
Fuck no.
What?
Also, I'm dragging my baby out.
That's what I'm hearing. I'm
fucking shoulder. There's not.
I will hurt myself.
There's not a single person.
I will die getting us out of there.
In my life, that is not gay. Like anybody, like Gabe size, bigger than Gabe size. Like
you could get them out.
Fireman, carry, or drag almost anybody.
Yes. That's how
I feel.
I'll pull my back. Yeah. I'll pull a thing. I'm getting you out.
People fucking lift cars off people in like moments of
adrenaline.
Yeah.
People are finding like old people with hoses in their hands trying to like water down their homes. Or I'm like, just
kill me now.
Kill me now. My dad started saying stupid shit like, well, I get it. I wouldn't leave either. I had to look at him like, are you dumb?
Yeah, that I don't get. That whole like
he's a liar.
Like
he's a liar.
Your dad's a liar.
I get it. I wouldn't leave. I hate a liar.
Yeah, I hate a liar. And he raised a liar. Get rid of both
of you. like son, like father.
Yes.
No, literally.
You are the son.
I am the son. Anyway, sorry.
No, but like so obviously like the human and animal life is like devastating. And then obviously like anybody who's not a millionaire, like losing your home, that's like irreplaceable wealth that like you're not going to be able to get back. So that's devastating. Think about the people who've been
devastating,
who are like lifelong renters because they can't afford to live in LA too. Like you just lost all of your stuff. Like it just sucks.
You know what I thought
you said
of?
this earlier. You put all your wealth into one home. I think you said that. You put all your wealth into one home and that's all you have?
That's what they do in LA too, because the real estate's so expensive.
Exactly.
That's what hit me that fucked me up, because I was at first kind of doing the whole mirthless, like just kind of like, oh, a bunch of fucking the most expensive real estate in the world.
And the ones in Malibu
everyone's-
are like that. The ones in Malibu, people are like, oh my God, the most beautiful house. And I'm like, people don't understand. People, if you have a house in Malibu, that's your third or fourth home.
Yeah, like probably.
That's not the home you're living in.
Fine.
Well, because like it wasn't going to be there in 30 years anyway.
It was going to fall into the fucking
Right.
ocean.
So that's not your generational wealth. But
speak on it.
people in LA, like, yes, they put that's their whole life into getting
Land
one
is everything.
regular single family home.
Yep.
And there are,
Exactly.
and like thinking of the people who just like busted their ass their whole life, started a business, maybe like just got their house and thinking they're made it. And then so it's like, it's sad. I don't think there's any need to politicize like the whole,
I agree.
the white black thing. It's just, it's a fire. It's a fucking fire that's ripping people's lives apart and is going to put misery all over that area.
The reason though I feel like people are like saying it's racial is I feel like, and this is like the like redlining bullshit, right? So like everyone who's acting like this and engaging in this isn't actively thinking about race while they're doing this.
Right.
But certain areas, like they just completely removed insurance from those areas, and that was okay without a fight. Like in the last couple of months,
What do you mean removed insurance from
Fire
these?
So
insurance?
State Farm dropped like
People.
in those areas. State Farm like 6 months ago. So imagine you spent your whole life trying to buy a house.
No, fuck insurance companies.
Almost like
it
they
makes me
knew.
fucking
Almost like
sick
they
that they
knew.
get to
No,
do that
it wasn't
shit.
almost like they knew. They
knew.
They did know. They knew that
Yeah.
because of climate change and because of the fact that California is low-key a desert and there's not enough water, that this was going to continue happening. And they were going to, they put out statements saying like, we're going to fail as a company if we like keep covering these fires. So we're not going to cover it. So there's a lot of people in those poorer areas whose homes aren't covered. And that like is directly correlated. And it's
racial
not,
violence.
But they do that to everybody.
It's
They
class.
do.
It's
They do.
class, but
It's class.
it's class. But the way
It is class,
the way it interacts with race is that a lot of the
Black and brown
class
people
a lot of the black and brown people in that area
are in that class.
and
Facts.
they're in that class also. Yeah,
Because
whatever.
they're black and brown.
So
I gotta say though, like you gotta
like
understand that, like I've lived in LA. It's Mexico North. Like it doesn't
is.
feel like.
No, that's what people don't
but it
understand.
depends
is
on where you
Mexico.
live, because also my stepdad's from LA and he grew up in Compton and it's like straight black people.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
So it also
no,
depends
like,
on
no
where
doubt
you
about
live.
it.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying like those stats. And
But that's
shit,
why I
that's
said
really
black
hard
and
to,
brown.
Yeah.
Because
And people
brown
don't-
is the
brown-
Latino population.
Exactly.
That's why people say black and brown, because it's the Latino population. But
People are including like the Mexicans
yes.
and the Ecuadorians in LA who are suffering
So
for sure.
as someone who has insurance, like
Mhm.
part of my family is like into like owns insurance companies, like not my immediate family, but my grandpa, my like all that.
Stone
like,
them,
big
stone
time.
them.
Oh, believe me, I'm like sickened by insurance.
Luigi?
They all make the most money without doing shit. They all take fucking tons of vacations. Like it is the most. They fix their rules with Congress. Like it's just fucking sickening.
It's
like,
disgusting.
What insurance? Yeah, it's mandatory to buy it. Like
Yeah.
yeah, it's really fucked up.
So though, so the fact that the fire insurance dropped them too, I think a lot of people don't understand that on the internet either, because there's a lot of conversation around like insurance will just cover it.
Right.
Also,
that's
like
fucked
Not how
up.
it works ever.
Also, insurance doesn't cover your memories. Like your like whole life was there.
It'd be horrible. I mean, that would really
Like,
be
yeah.
a fucked up thing. Like this is gonna like think of the added drug addiction that's gonna happen in that area.
Well,
all
what
the
happened to all the homeless people? I was
Oh my God, thank God.
joking.
I think they'll be fine.
I was joking with my stepdad, like, what do you think's gonna happen to them? And he's like, I don't know, they'll probably just like kill them all and throw them in the fire, because that's like how much they don't want them in LA. Like, there's just like a real culture around. Like, I was actually just there in October. Like, there's just like a real culture around
Not
like,
giving a fuck about
like
people. Same in San Fran.
Well, San Francisco is off the fucking chain.
I
though.
was in San Francisco and it is off the chain,
But only in the city center, like every other fucking city.
But it's also off the chain
No,
because it's
come on. It's way more
It's
in
got
San
to be the
Francisco.
second most expensive city to live in.
Oh, yeah. No, San Francisco's uninhabitable. Almost.
That's the correlation.
Exactly.
It's
No,
like
no. Like, I'm with you. I'm just saying, like.
No, it's tons of fucking
I'm just
homeless
saying,
people.
kill them.
Just put them in the fire. People were talking about
We just
the
let them
people,
freeze to
like
death.
the day workers who come and do lawn work, the people who come and do like landscaping and stuff.
Yeah.
They're out of jobs. Like that's such a it's minuscule, but like people are literally out of jobs from
Yeah. Oh, this is going to be super fun money for sure. Like the FEMA shit has they're going to break into that.
Do you see how they're telling people to word their GoFundMes? Because if you say certain things in your GoFundMes, FEMA won't give you money. So you can't say that the money is going, if you're getting money from GoFundMe or outside resources, you have to say it's not going towards repairs. It's going towards supporting our family. It's going towards
nasty.
Exactly.
Nasty. How does GoFundMe make money? Because they have to.
They take like a skim, or like a percentage.
Do they really?
Like a fee?
I mean, that's what they used to do. I haven't looked at it for years, but let me look right now while you guys are talking.
The hard thing for me about the LA fires, aside from again all of the life lost and all of the things lost, is that like it's turned into like a political discourse of how this could have been prevented, like in a short term, really minuscule way.
Yeah,
and not a like conversation about climate change. And that's really hard for me. Like, it's about the mayor. It's about and I'm not saying that people couldn't have handled this better. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, like, we've been literally being told since the 70s and 80s that, like, this was going to happen. That this was going to increase, that, like, wildfires were going to increase, that all these things were going to change because of the temperature and the dryness. And it's just... we can never talk about what's actually the issue, which makes me feel hopeless that there will ever actually be real change. And that's the part that's hard to talk about, focus on, think about.
It'll never happen because people literally, Gabe said it and you said it, it's a desert. It's it's like how Houston is in a swamp. So people are like, I don't know why it's
flooding all the time.
It's the lowest point in Texas. What are we talking about? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. That's how I feel about like up here Grand Forks and shit. Like they have flooding every 3-4 years or something. It's like, all right, I'm not really feeling bad anymore. We had, we saw this coming, I think. But it is weird. But there was also, I read an interview with firemen in LA firemen. And he was basically saying like years ago, like, he talked to a fire chief who just said, like, it's just pure luck. He's like the fact that the whole city hasn't burned down. He's like, all it takes is a bad combination of wind. And, like, we cannot. Like, they've known that, like, they can't contain it.
They can't. There's nothing to be done about it. And
you can't stop fire no matter what you do.
Have you guys heard?
Well, you can put water on it.
But not really, though.
No, you can't in LA.
Well,
not in LA.
There's no water to put on it. Have you guys heard
ocean?
Yeah.
No, I'm joking.
Have you heard about the fact that they're using like prison labor to fight fires?
Unfortunately.
So they're using like prisoners to do firefighting.
Hold on. Why do we feel so bad about that?
I feel like it's so
horrible.
Stupid. I feel like it's so dumb. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's kind of dumb, but that's not an issue for me to get upset about, I guess. I don't know. Like, let them pay a debt to society.
It's an issue for me because they're risking their life and that's not why they're fucking there. It's also because that when they get out, they can't get that same job unless they do the fucking most. They're getting paid.
No, they can never get that job.
You can. There's firefighters who used to be felons or some shit. There's like a certain way, but it takes a fucking lot.
Why? Okay, so here's what I think when I zoom out. Firefighter found these,
and they're not getting paid. They're getting like 50 cents or some shit like that.
They are getting paid, just not a lot.
Yeah.
Firefighters, so felons and prisoners, people actively in prison being able to fight fires, doesn't that kind of debunk a lot of the things that we say firefighters outside of prison have to do? Like, doesn't that kind of demonstrate that all of those rules and thoughts were kind of arbitrary? Like, it doesn't really matter. Does it really matter if a firefighter is a felon or not? Because we have prisoners doing it.
Oh my God.
Doesn't really matter if they have an EMT license because we have people who don't have EMT licenses doing it. It doesn't really matter if you went to school for this. It doesn't really matter if your dad used to be a firefighter.
What'd you say earlier? If you have a background check or not?
That's if you have a background check or not. Like, I think we're like kind of demonstrating by doing this that like a lot of the rules around who gets to become a firefighter is to be exclusive and like the rules are arbitrary.
And you actually don't care who does it because they're expendable.
And here's also if firefighting is really a skill, why are we letting people who are unskilled do it?
Teenagers almost, 18-year-olds.
And that's kind of like my question about it. Because like from what I understand is like fighting wildfires is like very skillful and you have to have like a lot of understanding around like how the wind.
Normal firefighters aren't allowed to fight them or some shit.
No, and how the wind and like environment impacts that and like where to dig dig like holes or where to like set brush on fire to like change the direction of things.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just confused because like we're being told this is all like very skillful and then we're having people who get like 3 weeks of training to go do it. So like, do I think they shouldn't be doing it? I guess if they're volunteering to do it, then that's their choice. Like, I don't want to take that away from somebody who like wants to get paid, have meaning, and have like something to put on their resume. But I also just feel like it kind of highlights the fact that a lot of the rules we made are bullshit and they're just about like being exclusionary.
Yep.
What if the prisoners are in prison for hate crimes?
Okay.
What do you guys think about that then?
I don't know. I literally did therapy with a kid today who like hates Black people. I don't know. Like, I think for me, I'm just like desensitized to all that shit. Like, I'm just gonna.
I'm just saying, is there any issue that you guys will not fight vehemently for the underdog? And it's an admirable quality. It's just fun.
I think for me personally, I don't know what it is for anybody else. It feels so unfair to use people who don't have that much choice, who don't have like, it's kind of like a pigeonhole. Like, yeah, of course, maybe if you get some years, like whatever the deal is for why they're choosing to do that. Specifically wildfires. They're not choosing them to do house fires. They're not choosing inmates to do things. I actually looked that up. They're literally
they are signing up though, aren't they?
They're signing up.
No, they are. And that's what I said. Like, that's what you want to do. That's fine. But I just feel like
but it's not a lot of choice. Exactly.
It pokes holes in the notion that firefighters also, like all these things have to go with being a firefighter. They really don't. Clearly, you just need to get trained and you can do it. I guess that's my point.
People choose things all the time that, A, it doesn't mean it's the best thing for them. And not because they don't know it's not the best for them. You don't have any other fucking choices. What if this is kind of something, but like, what if this is your only chance? Like, you ain't been outside. Like,
yeah.
Like, there's so many other things that go into, like, why somebody, like, yes, they might be doing it altruistically, but I don't like
doubt it.
I highly fucking doubt it.
I would do it.
Okay.
No.
I don't know why you think that little of them. Like, I think
it's not about thinking. No, it's not about thinking little of them. It's not about thinking little of them. It's literally about the choice and option. And
why wouldn't you do something that's going to benefit you when you get out of jail?
Exactly.
That's kind of my point.
Yeah,
sure.
There's no reason not to do it if you're them.
Exactly. There's no.
Which is why I'm not even saying like take it away. I'm just saying like it's just kind of demonstrates that firefighters can just do firefighting with the training, and we don't need like all these. They don't have to have a clean background to do it. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how us as a society, like how much we punish felons in general, and then we incarcerate more and more people. Like you can't rent apartments, you can't whatever. Yeah. So I mean that is an issue that I believe is like a problem for sure.
I think it's a problem too because I think it encourages people to stay in like criminal behavior
for sure.
and engage in criminal things.
Yeah, you have to. Why do people? This might seem strange, but why do people? I also don't think they're letting the worst of the worst out to do those type of things. I think these are people. They're not high-level offenders. But why do these specific population of people deserve to do the most scary, heinous thing? Like, why are we choosing them? I can get it, like, theoretically, or why structurally we might do it, even, like, financially, why a state might do it. I get it. It's cheap labor. But for me, it's why...
It's the cheapest labor, and in our minds, they have nothing better to do.
Exactly.
And why not repay your debt to society and, like, become a morally better person?
But also, like, who cares if they die?
That too.
Are they dying?
I don't know.
I don't know. I haven't looked into it.
I doubt it.
But my thing is, like, I don't know. I'm actually interested. You should look it up. See if
I am looking right now, yeah.
See if felon firefighters have died. And regular firefighters who have also died. So I'm not saying it's that, but, like... It's just there's less choice in it, and that feels more.
This is what I got from a Time magazine thing. It says, through the CDCR, or though the CDCR emphasizes that inmates working as firefighters have an opportunity to gain employment from their training with CAL FIRE, graduates of the program have reported difficulties accessing firefighting jobs. So that's probably a bullshit kind of thing.
Yeah.
The Hershey, let's see.
Like Kim Kardashian shouted out some felon some felon troop of firefighters that's like works in Pasadena. They're all used to be felons, blah, blah, blah.
Used to be, still are felons. They're not erasing their criminal record.
Exactly.
Well, it does say that through a study or whatever, the rate of recidivism has fallen from 41% to 10%. So guys who go through that program, 10% recidivism rate versus 41 for the rest.
It's not that there's no good. I just don't like...
You feel like a prisoner is more likely to pick a dangerous job because they feel like they don't have options rather than somebody else who's doing it altruistically. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Which maybe is
true.
Fair. And
no, it's true.
And I actually, I don't even think that regular firefighters are doing it altruistically all the time. It's great. I don't even think that cops are also out. It's all
definitely
kind
not cops.
Right. It's all kind of actually under the same banner for me. So I'm not.
Why do I have more respect for firefighters than cops?
Because they don't hold guns.
That's just it. They just haven't fucking hurt people in the same. Yeah. Because they're helpers, right?
I was actually going to say, I feel like it's because they're actually helpers. And I feel like I think cops also put their life at risk.
They do.
But I feel like, I don't know, something about putting your life at risk with.
In a real way?
Fire. Sorry. No, it's still in a real way. They die from traffic stops. But
no, they do. No, they
putting your life at risk for fire, I don't know why it feels better.
Also, like running into a burning house is like hot.
Mm. Oh, yeah.
Killing poor people isn't hot to me.
Yeah. I had a fireman on my show, and actually one thing he said that shocked me is that on calls over north, he's like, they have issues because of the distrust of like authority, that fire trucks will have hard time sometimes like getting to fight the fire because of neighborhood people like coming up. I'm like, wow, that blew me away.
They gotta get all the meth out of the house before you guys can put out the fire.
Yeah, well, that's white. Come on now, that's Priorities. Our drug.
Okay, what's next? Not to move on from that, but
Trump's inauguration is on MLK Day.
Next.
On MLK Day.
Wait. I just want to say,
on Monday. Both are Monday.
I just want to say,
everyone will be off for Trump's inauguration.
The only thing that I care about is all the black memes that are gonna come out on Twitter. I'm just promise you, I'm already on the internet all fucking day. I can't wait to be on Black Twitter.
What do you mean he's beloved?
What'd you say?
Isn't he beloved in the black community now?
No.
To the hoteps,
the black comedians.
I feel like it's
to
like
the black
50-50.
comedians, to all the comedians except for
You're wrong.
Bill Burr. Do you like Bill Burr?
Because it's not 50-50.
I love Bill Burr.
We're not 50-50 with black women, so it can't be 50-50.
Yeah, that's
the black
true.
community.
Ooh. That's true.
Maybe it's a quarter. 50,
well, you know I don't
50%
count
of black
women.
men. I know.
Yeah.
50% of maybe it's a quarter because it's half of men and no black women.
I feel like it's like 80% of men over 50
Are voting for Trump?
are like for Trump. Yeah.
It's a lot of 20-year-olds who love that nigga.
Oh, really?
But they're white, not black.
That's true.
They're Gen
Are there really like
there's a lot of
black
Gen
guys
Z,
though?
Huh? No, not young black
Oh, okay.
guys.
All right.
Young
That's
white,
what I was wondering.
Young Gen Z white guys who consume podcasts.
Yes.
No, absolutely.
Specifically.
Yes. Just white people in general.
But yeah, Trump's inauguration. Do you feel like anything is going to change on Monday?
Nope.
I feel like there's going to be
wait, what do you
like
mean?
he's going to enact any policy or do anything?
I think
he'll sign some orders on Monday. I think there will be some executive orders signed on Monday. There will be some immediate changes on Monday.
He can't wait. I'm actually kind of excited. Not excited in like a glad way, but like excited like let's just see what this man does. Let's see. Let's just I feel like
apparently I've been living under a rock because I didn't know the YMCA song was his song.
Wait, what? I didn't know that.
YMCA.
Is he singing that?
The Village is like performing, and that's a part of his like that's like part of his campaign stuff.
Oh, The Village made that song?
Yeah.
The Village people made that song?
Yeah.
Who did you think made the song?
I just kind of thought it was a nursery rhyme.
I can't believe I know more than her about something white. Yes.
No, literally.
That.
Oh my God.
Nursery rhyme.
Also, I didn't know the Village people were like
Gay?
that.
They're not gay.
As fuck.
Are you guys fucking kidding me?
Are they really?
My mom listens
Holy
to them.
shit, how
I've never
old am
seen
I?
them. I've never listened to them. I just knew the connection.
But they're men dressed up as like construction workers and just go to any gay parade. It's the YMCA.
That's
band.
why them was posting them. I follow this trans page and they were like, the Village people are traitors. Shit,
You
like I
guys
was
are cracking me the fuck up. That is hilarious to me. Like that is like truly, it was a joke in 80s movies of you'd have the old white guy go, the Village people are gay? Like that used to be a joke, like that comment of a joke.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
I've never seen them. They're just like an
No, it's just age, right? Yeah, I get it.
Concept in my mind.
But to
and then Carrie Underwood is doing the national anthem.
I dug my keys. I'm still singing that song. I don't give a fuck. But she can kick rocks. There's somebody else.
Kid Rock.
Kid Rock is always
kick rocks.
Is always Trump's side.
Yeah.
There's like some black person. What is it? I don't know. There's always some fucking nut shit going on over there.
So it'll be interesting. I can't.
Are you gonna watch it?
I'll watch the highlights after. You know, I'm finding that since he's won, he rambles quite a bit, and his press conferences are quite long. I don't have 2.5 hours to listen to him talk about nothing. But I will watch the highlights. I'll probably watch like 30 minutes of it. I actually work on Monday, so
I told Javay earlier
I'll be busy.
I was inviting myself over to watch with her.
You can come in the evening
to watch with her and her boyfriend. So
yeah.
I will be over.
We can recap that when I get off work.
Thank God.
I think I'm done at like 3, but
perfect.
Yeah.
They're gonna have issues with his like senility, I think. Like I mean, I know his family like
do you
is
think
old.
It'll come up again? Do you think but I think it will look different than Biden's did.
Yeah. Probably.
Do you remember the first time around? People were like, he's crazy.
So he might be able
crazy.
to.
And I haven't heard so much "he's crazy" rhetoric this time around.
That's true.
He has more charisma, but I think that
he's just so old.
He's just as old.
He also dyes his hair and tries to like seem more this way. And Biden really didn't fight the old folks home rumors.
So President Carter's funeral was this week, and everybody was heartbroken because Obama was laughing with Trump.
But what did we think? Of course, he's laughing with that man. Like, people are like, "Oh my God, he was."
So wait, hold on. So your reaction to Obama laughing with Trump is duh?
Yes.
Okay, say more.
My reaction is duh, and it was actually kind of like irritated. I felt irritated in my gut that people were surprised. I get it. Yeah. I get why people would feel that way.
Why would people feel that way?
People would feel that way, because we've been calling, not we, Obama and kind of his ilk and the Democratic Party have been saying he's a what is that? A threat to democracy. He's the last, whatever all the things is. And then you're over here kikiing with him.
Like, if he's evil, how could you laugh with him?
If he's evil, how could you laugh with him? Exactly. And I just feel like, yes, that's true. In like real person's world, we all forget that being a president is not a normal person. It's a club. And regardless if they disagree with each other, like Obama is institutional. He's a part of the institution. He plays his part every fucking time. It's not to say that I'm not saying he really likes the man or he really even wants to be around him, but he's also like, they've been kikiing for years.
Is there anything important to democracy to have presidents be in a club to each other and coexist well? Like, is that important to democracy to not have...
It's the antithesis of democracy.
Obama hate Trump. Is that important? Why is it anti-democracy?
I don't actually think it's anti-democracy.
You said that.
People are saying that.
What do you think? Do you think it's important to have like this?
I think it
camaraderie and like people would say like, what is it called when you're at work? Like professionalism between the two. Like, does that matter to you, or do you think that matters to like the stability of American politics or American society?
That's such a good question. I will say, I have to say this first. I was unsurprised because that is what they do. That is part of the job, is getting along with all the other ones, is being like, that's part of the facade of democracy, in my head at least, is getting along, is making sure that, we can get over our differences. We're bipartisan, that whole thing. Regardless of like in an election year, whatever people are saying during election months, to me doesn't really count towards the other side, because they're all gonna sparring like a couple. They're gonna shake hands and make up. That's what they do. And it's not because they really like each other. It's not because they really hang out. It's just respectability. Obama doesn't want to be embarrassed. He likes to be, whatever all the human things are. It also just could have been a moment. We really don't know. Like, maybe it was just one moment. We don't know. But I feel like.
So all the prefaces are done. Do you think it's important?
For them to get along, for them to get along,
to coexist, to...
You're going to hate this, but it's a hard question for me to ask, because I feel like we live in a republic, not a democracy. But
and doing the leftist shit of like, I don't want to come up with anything because everything's stupid anyways. What do you think? You don't have to be right.
I don't think it's necessary to be copacetic. I don't think it's necessary.
So he could have gave him the cold shoulder and kept it moving, is what you're saying.
He could have
shook his hand, kept it moving, and
you can be professional and stand by your base. And actually, Republicans do that. And I don't know if this is right or wrong. It's actually something that I respect. If you're calling somebody a threat to democracy, a terrorist, a domestic, whatever the thing is, and then you go and kiki. It's a little like spitting in people's faces. You got people all riled up to do nothing. You got people all kind of not riled up to do nothing, but like what is this?
Do you think we need more division?
What do you think, Gabe? Do you think it's important?
I don't think it, like, at this point. I just think it's like...
So no.
Don't you just get tired?
But does democracy mean we all have to get along?
No, not at all. But what does it help to... Like, I mean, truly, if you're trying to actually unite the country, you're actually trying to improve relations.
But they weren't trying to.
It means that we all need to communicate and accept differences.
But they are communicating. But it doesn't mean he has to laugh in that nigga's ear and be all buddy and be like,
I actually think what you guys just both said brought something up for me, which is that like maybe what's notable about this is there's a shift in political goals. So the goal for the last year was not to unite; it was to create fear and disgust towards the opposite party.
And now it's like, welcome him.
And now the shift is to create unity, and it feels like all of it was disingenuous because how could you shift like that?
Because they are disingenuous.
And for me, it's
rooting for him.
Obama.
For who?
For any of these politicians, for acting like they give a fuck at all is absolutely ridiculous.
But I'm more mad at people being mad at Obama for doing the thing he's supposed to do.
But you just said he didn't need to do it.
He didn't need to do it as a person or as a human if he's really sticking on his
You didn't say he needed to do it as a president either. You just said that.
No, but as a politician, that is his job, to get a fucking along. As a person, what I would like him to do, the type of politician I would like him to be, what people would like politicians to do, is not what politicians normally do. And I feel like we have to get over that.
Their job.
That's fair.
Right? Like, I think you're kind of contradicting yourself.
That's fair.
I feel like...
Say more.
You're contradicting yourself because you're saying like it's his job to be in the club it's his job to be in the club and Keke, but why are people mad that he's doing his job? But then at the same time, you're saying like he didn't actually have to do that. Nothing would have changed in our life and world if he wouldn't have done that. It wouldn't have created any instability. It wouldn't have been a real problem.
I think it's hard for me because there's it feels like there's 3 different realities. Like
3.
Wow.
Let's hear them.
Entering the multiverse with Rachel.
There's like
I just told Rachel what the Matrix is last week.
No, literally. I was like, what the fuck? But there was like
not the movie, the
actual
political concept.
I knew what it was, but it was like this was just fucking confusing me. But there was
the simulation.
If you think about like if you believe in the political structure, if you believe that Obama is supposed to be a democratic hero, he did all these amazing things, we can ride for him. Cool. Let's get on that side, right? Then you believe that he's not supposed to kiki with Trump.
Yeah.
Right? He's not supposed to do that. That's what we believe about democracy.
Yeah.
There's another view that is democracy is we're supposed to be bipartisan. We're supposed to get along and we're supposed to reach across the aisle. There's all this other rhetoric that like people believe in together. And I saw people really liking that he did that. And then there's the other one that is kind of more I don't want to say anti-political, but anti-establishment. That is, well, duh, he did that. That's what they do. Mm-hmm. Anything they say on the campaign trail is to resonate, it's not truth necessarily. And so I feel like maybe that is confusing or I'm still.
Yeah.
Can I tell you?
I'm hearing stand your ground, work it out, or don't engage altogether.
And I don't know, but
what were you going to say, Gabe?
Yeah.
So I actually have a fantastic Obama story that I just heard, and I've never said it publicly, but I just heard it from a guy who.
Oh my God!
I had this studio or this rental come in that was like a one-off, and the guy's name is Atlas Altman.
Hot name.
And he's like a special forces dude and all that. And he was a super highly placed one, and he ended up ascending to be.
Does he have tribal tattoos?
No, I don't think so. But I didn't look at him naked.
Oh, next time.
Look at his calf next time.
But he was Obama's military liaison for the Navy. So like when the president gets his daily brief, he's the guy from the Navy who tries to interpret that stuff with him. So he was working like hand in hand with Obama, talking to him on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. And when the guy came in, he was a very obvious like Trump guy.
Yeah.
So when I heard about the Obama shit, I just had to ask, even though I braced when I asked, thinking he's going to say, Michelle's a man and, Obama's whatever like that. To my shock and to that guy's credit, he goes, great guy, yes. Great family. And then he said, but here's one thing, if you want to know something that nobody knows. And he's like, that guy is the biggest fucking gangster on phone calls with other world leaders.
A lot of people say that.
He said that his first day he went in there and they had a phone call with, and he wouldn't say the country, but he's like he made it sound like it was a banana republic kind of thing. But there was a little bit of static between us and them where the dictator implied that something might happen to Americans in his country or we might have to do something. And this guy Atlas, he goes, there are 17 people in the room on that phone call. So he's seeing all the people who are monitoring, taking notes. And Obama said, if you harm one American, if you mess up the hair of one American while they're there, I will kill I will kill you. I will kill your family. And I will kill everyone you know until like whatever. And he said, So he's like,
that's not impressive to me. That
hold on.
That you're like, Trump, like, what are we talking about? Of course they're buddies. Like, what are we talking about? Sorry.
Okay, I guess. Well, you were also saying he was a pussy, that he's going to get along with everyone.
It is a pussy move.
Well, what do you mean then? Then which one's true?
That's what what else is he supposed to say on the call? That's A.
I don't think anyone would guess that Obama says that.
Why?
Because he's a pussy. You said just like that's how people. That's his reputation.
I'm making sense, but outside it's not making sense, which is normally how I feel.
You're contradicting yourself a lot.
I feel like I'm contradicting myself because it's
none of this makes sense. You're trying to make sense out of something that doesn't make sense.
I thought it was cool. I
don't get what doesn't make sense about him having a public. I don't get what doesn't make sense about him having a public persona that people get attached to, and then behind closed doors, he acts like what you just told me is.
Because it's politics. And that's what they say about Trump, is that he's actually a nice guy when you meet him in person. Like, you hear that all the time.
But of course he's a nice guy.
But then you hear that everybody who ever worked with him got screwed over.
Yeah, no. Like, of course.
And of course Obama's charismatic and awesome and nice and like and maybe even like a great like all those things. I'm not saying that.
So the reason why it's unimpressive is because you're hearing him do his job in a way that you already assumed he did it.
Exactly. And it's like he's Keke, but why are we mad about that?
But aren't you mad?
No, he's talking to Trump, who he's had a relationship with for years. They were political enemies, which doesn't mean shit. I think when people have that much money, I just in my mind know that there's not that much difference. The things that Obama wants.
There's no difference between any of them. That's the problem.
Well, here's the issue. And
Exactly.
I think I said this off camera, but like we're all fighting about like which politicians are moral and like who has the moral high ground and like which is better. And there's this big gotcha game when there's ever any proof that like the Democrats aren't on the moral high ground, which says a lot about how the Democrats operate.
Obama has public moral high ground and that's it.
No, but he really doesn't for a lot of people because I think in like
not anymore.
Younger millennials and Gen Z, a lot of them see him as a war criminal. So I don't even think like there's
being mad at him.
There's an age gap between who's just like proud that he existed because he was like a black man with class versus who like is mad that he's a part of the system. Like I think there's like a right.
Yeah.
But I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I just don't.
But it's just like there's this conversation around like who's on the moral high ground and we're like fighting repetitively for like who's morally better. And for me, I'm just like, it's really not about like which person has like more integrity. I get that integrity is part of the conversation. I feel like it's about like who is reflected and demonstrated that their policies like benefit the world and the American people.
Totally. But what was he supposed to do? That's what I really want people like. Was he?
I just said he's supposed to give him the cold shoulder.
For why?
Because it would back up the believies. You know, I love to say the believies.
Which I love. That's very apt.
People's fake beliefs that they hold on to and cling to feel sane. I didn't make that up. I've heard that. So people wanted to hold on to their believies that like everything he said on the campaign trail he believed. And like in order to let them hold on to their believies, he should have gave them the cold shoulder like Michelle's doing.
That's what I'm saying.
But also,
that's literally what
you said it at the beginning. Like he riled people up for no reason.
Nancy Pelosi,
but nobody thinks that about Nancy Pelosi.
Yes, they
aren't emotionally attached.
Yes, they do.
No,
they're not
have older white people in your life, so you think people are emotionally attached to Pelosi. Nobody's emotionally attached on Nancy Pelosi. Nobody likes her.
It's not that they're emotionally, but people are accusing the Democratic establishment in general.
It's not the same.
He's part of the establishment.
He is part of the establishment, but he's on a pedestal in the establishment. And that's what I'm saying is that people have different believies about Obama than they do about any other Democrat.
That's fair. They feel like they have more kinship with him.
Yes, and that's why I said there's an age gap around how people feel about Obama because everybody older than us literally has a picture of Obama in their house.
Fair,
because that is black. Because it was special and important that he was even elected, and then all of us fucking spoiled ass children who had a black president in high school don't give a fuck that a black person was elected because that happened before we were even adults. So we have all these different believies about him.
Spoiled?
Yes.
All those people are morons. Like for real,
it's
I have a
spoiled.
kid, like I have children, and it is such a difference to be able to tell your kid that there's been a black president.
There was a black president.
That's a separate conversation, though.
It's not.
Being proud that
it's not.
It is. To me, it is.
And that's because you're spoiled because you got to have a black president when you were in high school.
Facts.
I'm telling you, like we have different things, different believies than people who grew up and didn't have a black person in power like that. I'm telling you.
No, it's facts. My dad feels differently about it. My mom feels differently than I do, than me and my brother do, all that stuff. But I don't think it's because, I think it's just a different side of reality.
No.
They had a different reality.
Privileged.
I am privileged. I totally am.
Life is better than it was for our parents.
It is better, but I don't think that means that he was like the best fucking thing.
He wasn't the best thing, but you don't put as much value as they do into him being a black person.
That's true.
And that's
completely true.
About privilege.
But I don't think that they know more, though.
I didn't say they knew more.
No. But that's the sentiment, is that they might know more and so they can trust him more. And that people who don't like him, like, don't get it or whatever it is the sentiment that I get.
No, I think the sentiment is that people who don't get it are privileged and don't have life experience to know why this was a big deal and it was a win. And they feel judged. No, because we judge them for being excited about the fact that he was just elected because he was black. I mean, we all shit on him.
But it's just basic.
Exactly. That's a judgment.
It is a judgment.
You're calling them basic. So when you say, well, can't they just understand how we exist? No, you're calling them basic. So no, they can't just understand how we exist.
And it is important. And, having like representation is important.
No, but we've grown up with representation, so we don't actually believe it.
And he wasn't the worst president.
But we grew up with representation, so we don't actually believe representation is important. But both of us will not die on the hill of representation, right?
No, of course not.
Because we grew up with representation. So there is no counter to that. There is no, it is just how dare you accept the bare minimum, which is judgmental.
It is judgmental, but I feel like it's also okay to be like, the representation isn't good enough. And just because we accept it and like it doesn't mean we can't critique it.
And that's really cool, but that sounds like you're not judging them when you say the second part, but you are.
But it's more about him.
No, you're judging the people who think that's good enough.
I voted for him twice.
I didn't say that. I said you're judging the people who think that's good enough. There's something morally superior about us millennials and Gen Zs because we voted for him begrudgingly.
I didn't vote for him begrudgingly.
But now when you talk back about it, you do.
I don't even think he was that bad of a president while he was president. It's the whole thing around it that bothers me. And you're right.
Gabe, do you get what I'm trying to say, or am I talking nonsense?
You're not talking nonsense, but I just think it's okay to also think that we can celebrate that he was the first and be fucking happy about it and love his presidency and still love all that shit. He was the shit. He was the shit. He's still the shit. And any critique is just not heard about him. People literally, just because he was the first.
Everyone on the internet right now is shitting on him. What are you talking about? He's being nothing but critique.
But it's hard to get those critiques passed because people stop at a certain point. You can't really go the full way.
What do you want from people?
I don't know. I just want a full conversation. And I feel like that's okay, actually. I feel like I can expect that of older people. I feel like I can expect that of millennials to just have a conversation. I'm not even saying that I know the most or that people my age know the most or people younger than me know the most. I actually am not a person that believes that.
I feel like I'm actually for the first time being this is how parents feel. Okay. Because I feel like I'm hearing Babble to not say the thing that's hard to say, which is that you guys put him on a pedestal he doesn't deserve to be on because he was the first black president. That's what I'm hearing you say.
But millennials felt like that too. And millennials had to come down from that too. So that's what I'm saying. It's for me personally, it's not an age thing. I felt like people my age love that man more than anybody else.
That's not true. None of us have a picture of him in the house. Everybody over 45 has a picture of that man in the house.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. They have it, but people have a picture of JFK in their fucking house. Lots of black people have pictures of JFK next to Obama in their house, right? I get it. I totally can put myself there. I can get it. And I don't get why that means. And this is a privilege thing. This is all that shit. I literally can't imagine why that means you know more.
I literally am hearing you say you know more, not that.
Not because I know more. That. I'm just saying there is.
I'm not hearing them say they know more.
I am. I'm hearing.
Well, then maybe that's what it is. What were you gonna say, Gabe?
I'm just really confused. Was I talking or was Gervais talking? Or was I talking through Gervais' mouth? Because I feel like I'm in a parallel fucking dimension right now.
And this is the side of the internet maybe that I'm it feels like that is hard to get across. The conversation I have with other people is it's hard to get across.
No real acknowledgement from anybody born after 1966 of the impact of this. I've never heard it. You're straddling it, kind of. You're saying it, and then you're moving up. There's no real, like, why people think this is so significant and important and why representation matters. And I think it's because we had representation.
Facts.
So we're talking from like an outside place of like, no, we want more. And that's totally fine.
Right.
But I think there's a judgment to people who didn't grow up with representation of like, why the fuck does this matter to you so much? And you're stupid and you're holding on to this thing that doesn't matter because we have more important things to talk about, which is his actual impact. And I feel like.
Why is that?
Because that is from a place of privilege of not understanding representation because representation is the impact.
But this isn't even an original thought of mine.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about everyone your age and under.
Everyone who's complaining.
You guys say that you understand how important representation is, and then you throw it under the bus and say our beliefs are more important. It's bullshit.
But what if representation isn't that fucking important?
But
and you only feel like that because you grew up without representation, and that's what I'm telling you. Or you grew up with representation.
And if you have children, I'm telling you, it's so valuable.
I get it from that perspective. It's not.
You don't get it. It's okay. And that's the part about the psychobabble that pisses everyone the fuck off. Just be with your chest like all our parents were and be like.
But I'm saying shit with my chest. It's just not what anybody else wants to hear.
You're not. You're saying it and taking it back. You're saying it and taking it back. You're saying it and taking it back. You're saying, I get exactly where you're coming from.
I do.
No, you don't. You don't agree. You don't see it. When we talk about it.
But I feel like I get into this with people about anything. Is like when I say I get it, it's like I can see it. I can see why they fucking feel it. I can see why he fucking matters so much. My grandma has a picture, and my grandma's a white Jewish woman, has a picture of this nigga in her house.
The way you talk about representation demonstrates that you don't get it. Whether you say all the right things, the way you talk about representation says you don't get it. And that's why it's psychobabble. It's like when I talk to parents and I rephrase something and their response is like, well, didn't you just say the same thing? They just want to get at the meat of it. They don't care if you validate their feelings. They want to know what you really think. And there's all this around it of like, this is validation and I can hear it and I can see it, but I'm going to tell you. But what if they don't care about that? They don't want to hear the validation. They just want to hear what you really think.
They want to hear that
the validation doesn't come off as real.
People want to hear that
Rachel, it doesn't sound real
or whatever.
It doesn't sound real. You don't want to hate them. I'm telling you right now, if you watch this back, you will hear you undercut me 1,000 times and then right after that go, but I totally get it.
I'm not being heard though. I feel like I'm not being understood is what I'm trying to get across. And maybe I'm not, maybe I'm not vocalizing that. And
you're not being understood.
Yes, I agree.
I don't know where you stand. Right.
I agree. I stand in that I think that we could let go of representation more. That's from a privileged perspective. But I've said that.
I knew that's where you stood.
But
this is why parents want to strangle their kids.
Privilege.
This is why their kids want to strangle their kids. You're saying
But shouldn't they let go of that? Why do you want to strangle me because I want more?
I want to strangle you because you've been telling me you think representation is valuable and you get it. And then I finally held you to account.
It is valuable and I do get it and it's not important enough.
It's not valuable. That's the psychobabble.
It's not valuable enough.
That's the psychobabble.
But why is it either or? Why can't there be gray space for that? I'm not even saying that as but I mean in a real way.
Because you aren't valuing it in this conversation. So for you to say in theory it's valuable is psychobabble.
Nigga, I love seeing a black person in power. And then I have to go past that in my mind because it's not my original olfactory settings and go, do I actually give a fuck?
Have you ever heard me say...
Are they actually doing something?
Have you ever heard me say I care about representation?
No, I don't think you do.
Okay.
I'm not saying you.
Okay. Have you ever heard me say that?
No.
Okay. So if I share your point and I'm telling you that the way you come across right now is invalidating, it's because you're invalidating.
I get that. I just almost don't care.
And there you go. And that's the psychobabble. It's coming across.
I think that's okay. If she said she doesn't care, then.
Yeah, exactly.
There's the answer.
And I knew it the whole time. The psychobabble is you convincing me that we're having this equitable conversation while I'm being heard. You're not. You're dismissing me. You think my point is stupid. You're telling me all the things that I need to hear so that you can get your point off. That's how you're coming across.
I get that. It's not.
You don't get it because you don't agree. You're arguing with me. And that's the psychobabble.
But I feel like this is a somatic thing is when I say that people think that I'm like, but why can't I understand that and have a different opinion?
So if you're constantly getting this feedback, it might be because it really is invalidating, right?
I get that. And
I just think if you understood, you wouldn't be outraged.
You wouldn't be.
That's true. That's true. I might have to take a step back from this eventually. I think after this, I'll probably get it and all that. I'm just feeling.
You're not going to get it.
I don't know. I feel
you're not going to
You might get it afterwards.
Thank
but
you.
Yeah.
But you're not. But I shouldn't say you're not allowed to get it. You don't have to get it. And that's the part is that I feel like the psychobabble that a lot of like parents feel is that we are pretending that we understand the place they're coming from emotionally, and we actually really don't. It's very abstract to us, and we don't resonate with it.
But why is abstract not like? That's what I don't get, and maybe that that's something that's about me. I get that, but
because when you get older,
why does
ridiculous.
the literal why?
It sucks to say, but it's just the truth.
Why does abstract not matter? Because if you get it abstractly, then you don't get it.
But that's what I'm saying.
It's
I'm not
like
trying
somebody
to come across.
telling
It's
me
literally how my brain thinks.
That's literally if somebody tells me I'm going to the extreme so that it makes more sense, not because this is what we're saying. This is way more extreme than what I'm about to say, right? If you told me you got and I told you I got it abstractly, and then I gave you feedback on the ways in which you should have handled differently or the ways in which you should have thought about it differently, it wouldn't feel validating, right?
Yes, agreed.
Okay, totally this is a smaller scale, so you're not causing harm.
Yes.
But I feel like you're telling me you get my opinion abstractly, but here's what you would do differently or see differently, or you don't really understand why I feel how I feel is what I'm hearing.
Yes. Okay.
So even though you're being kind, that's the psychobabble. And I do it too.
Yeah.
We all do the psychobabble of let me show you I get where you're coming from before I defend my point.
Why is it, I mean, this literally, not a defense. Yeah. Why is it psychobabble? I mean it literally.
Because I feel like you're saying things that aren't true to how you feel in a core way.
Okay.
In a therapeutic manner because that's how you have effective communication.
Fair.
In quotes, in quotes, in quotes.
Fair.
It's how people communicate now is they know all the words like that.
Yeah, that's totally
true. And so because you're saying all of the words, I'm not allowed to feel invalidated or offended because you're saying all of the key things I need to hear or another millennial would need to hear to feel safe.
Fair.
But because I don't speak that language, it's psychobabble.
That's fair.
Right? So when we're having that conversation, it's not psychobabble because we speak that language.
Yes.
Your 65-year-old father, it's psychobabble.
Yes.
So that's why people feel like that because step out of that language to have this conversation.
So how do I step out of that? I don't even mean to do all this.
Yeah.
But I think it's also something that I see a lot is this disconnection.
Yes. Bridging the gap.
So how do you get across that
you just talk bluntly about how you're feeling without regard for it impacting them negatively. So
but what if I don't have a feeling that my perspective is more right?
But you said it, Gabe.
But it's
Gabe.
Not. But hold on.
I'm trying to sit out this one, but yes.
Rachel, you said it was more right.
But only because that's how I feel, not because I actually know more.
Then just say that. That's what we're saying.
Say that.
But I thought that's
just
a
say
given.
that.
That's what everybody's doing.
It's not a given. No, that's not what everybody's doing.
Not everybody, not a given. But
it's not a given.
But it's a feeling of me taking information about him, whatever it is.
I think you're a lot like me, Rachel. And there's times when I'm not being definitive with what I think, and I'll try to condition people's reaction to me. And that's when you guys hear me talk about how I'm returning to being an asshole, that's exactly what I mean.
That's not what I mean.
I'm not trying to condition. I'm just saying my truth more bluntly now, and that's all it really is.
But it also feels wrong for me to say that people in our generation know more. I don't actually.
But you say that.
It's because I feel that way because it aligns more with my views. It's not because I think that's that's not how humans work. That's not how people work.
Maybe the reason why it's confusing to you is because it makes sense with your internal dialogue. It makes sense to you to have both going on and you feel like both are true all the time. What it comes across as is you feel like one is more true and you're unwilling to say that.
I get that.
I think,
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, that makes a ton of sense.
It comes across I don't disbelieve that both are true, but I feel like one's 80% true and one's 20% true.
Fair.
And you're arguing they're 50-50. And why do we not get that?
That's fair. And that's disingenuous.
All right.
Yeah.
A good, healthy discussion.
No, I get that.
Jeez, I got anxiety through that. You guys made me nervous.
But I really wasn't trying to
why?
Because I'm a fucking baby boy like that shit. I don't know. I'm a pussy
I felt
with that
was
stuff.
a lively discussion.
No, it was great. I'm not used to seeing you guys get exercised.
Oh, okay.
I get that way. When I feel
this is
not
a trigger because
it's
this
a trigger
is
for me.
talking. This is her feedback she gets from other people.
Yes. So it's a trigger for me, but also if I'm able to slow down for a second, I'm just calm down.
I'm always scared that Javay's not gonna moderate her view.
But my thing is, she's not. But this. also, I just have to say this is a little corny, but it's also why I'm close to you and also why I trust you is because she can do like
say the
yeah.
thing.
No, I think it's great actually. Yeah. Like I'm just saying while the roller coaster was going, that's all.
No, it is hard while it's going, and I think I definitely was feeling frustrated while we were talking because I wasn't feeling heard, and she was feeling heard.
Yes.
But I feel like if you replay that moment, the reason why it didn't escalate more is when she was like, "You're not getting it." I was like, "We're not." Right. Yeah. Like I think a lot of people fight because it's like, no, I do get it. And you're just dumb.
Right.
No, I'm not.
We don't get it.
Help me.
Yes. And I was like, I don't get when you're saying psychobabble. I'm hearing like.
You could have just said babble.
No, but it is psychobabble.
Like, it is a little. It was. Yeah, it is.
It's not. It's
just modern. It's modern babble, though.
But it is psychobabble because it's also
like psychology babble. Like it's like people who think they're saying
what is that word
terms online
when people like. Have a diagnosis for everything.
Yeah,
it's that. Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah. It's like, I actually get that one, not in a fake way.
All right.
Sorry, guys. I had to derail that one.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, what's next?
Nothing. We're done. Let's go.
Sorry, guys. I wore everybody out.
No, you didn't. We were just naturally.
That was lively. I liked it. Like, I mean, now that it has a good resolution, I loved it.
There's a bow on it now for
Gabe. I'm trying to stay out of it. That's a first. We have to record that. Put it in the
fuck. I was like, yeah.
And he barely stayed out of it.
He did stay out.
I know you did.
I stayed out of it big time.
All I want is to go again, but you ain't picking your phone up.